All right, we are live. How's everybody doing today? Good old hump day. See, we got a bunch of folks here already. Mike, good to see you. Jason, sponsor, always good to see you. Steel and Brass. Steel and Brass, you're new. Good, welcome. I don't remember seeing you before. Patriotic Saint, also new. Mike Hen, of course, you are not new. Jeff, good to see you, buddy.
Jeff I'm not 2.5 feet. I am 5'6".
Yeah. First of all, he is not 5'6". That's with his fancy extra shoes that are taller.
Crocs on, I am.
What's going on, folks? Hope everybody's had a great week. We did. We had a great week on the range this week. We'll give her. If you are just showing up, go ahead and say hello. Go ahead and say hi to us so that we can make sure that we respond to you and recognize you. We appreciate everybody showing up. We had a great week this week. We had our first course of the season. We opened 2023 with a bang. For those of you just joining us, welcome to the Dangerous Liberty podcast, where the only thing more dangerous is the lack thereof. All right, Chris, how was your week?
The weekend was awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
Chris joined us for his first handgun class.
Yeah, I did handgun 1 and 2. I was always thought I was a decent shot until you all stupid.
No, you did
And
great.
then brought
In a
me
good
back
way,
up.
right?
Yeah, and then brought me back up. I mean, the 3 instructors, including you, Gary, so that'd be 4. So Jason, Chris, Brooks, and you, Gary. I mean, every one of you all found different little nuances that I had, corrected them, and then drilled me all weekend on those certain things that each one of you all picked up that was different. So it was like a 4D thing going on that I got it from every corner, and it was phenomenal. My first training ever. I definitely want to do more because there is so much more room to grow.
Sure. No, we had a bunch of new clients out this past weekend, along with a bunch of regular clients like Mike Hen up there. Comes to pretty much every course. We always appreciate your love and support, Mike, along with everybody else that comes out on a pretty regular basis. Summer, how was your week this week?
It was good.
Yeah.
Very, very busy. The weekend was fun. I'm glad to finally have some warm weather here.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
got to lay in bed every night with me.
Oh
Lucky.
my gosh.
Oh, God. Poor woman.
Stuff of nightmares.
Oh, gee, Steve, don't be jealous, Jason. You know you want to cuddle up, just like that time out in the field.
Yeah. My mind was telling me no.
Lloyd DC.
We said hello from the
from
Lost Boys of Rumble.
That's right. Hey, everybody over on Rumble. Look, I already forgot about it.
I got him.
Everybody over on Rumble, we always appreciate you showing up as well. Summer's blushing, she always does. Folks, I definitely got
always red.
sunburned this week. I'm definitely not this red in real life.
First of all, you get moonburned, so probably.
That's true. I have spent more of my life sunburned than not.
Yeah.
If you were to describe my skin color, it'd be clear.
Gary's skin basically is 600 lumens.
Never get lost in the woods.
True story.
And yet I still love you.
Yep. Rubbing up on this glowworm. All right. Yeah, we had a great week this week. Jay, thanks for coming out this weekend.
Yeah, thanks, Jay.
Jay always makes the course great.
And your non-squeaky chair.
And it's
Right.
non-squeaky
I don't have a
chair.
squeaky chair today.
All right. So, again, what we are going to do, folks, we're going to jump right into this. We got a lot of stuff to cover. We've kind of decided to start breaking this thing up into segments. Chris has the first segment in self-defense news. Let's hear what you got, Chris.
All right, so I was cruising through the old interwebs, and I found a report from Rockdale County Sheriff's Office that said 2 16-year-olds and a 15-year-old wearing masks attempted to rob 3 residents down in Georgia on 4 a.m. on Monday morning. After approaching the home on White Oak Court, one of the teams brandished and fired a handgun at one of the residents. The residents returned fire and killed all 3 assailants.
DED.
Says
Handgun.
none of the victims were injured.
None of the victims, right,
Yep.
that of the attempted robberies were injured at all, but all 3 teens were DRT.
Yep. Hey, folks, guns save lives. And unfortunately, even with self-defense incidents, the CDC is actually, I think that was 2 years ago, I believe they stopped keeping stats of actually when, firearms are actually used in self-defense.
I'm kind of surprised at that, to be honest.
So, that is something that is intentionally suppressed, and we're going to try to bring that to light as much as possible. Every now and then, I'll post a segment on Facebook when I'm not being banned, which I currently am in a timeout. And we talk about the Gun Save Lives Again segment where I post those stuff. But folks, those are the things I think I would definitely like to see more people highlight, post on social media, because those things have real impact. Is when we're sharing those positive stories about guns saving lives, regular citizens all the time, and those things just don't get enough attention. They really don't.
It's definitely rarely shared, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have to dig deep to find this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I will say when the NRA used to send us the monthly magazine, which we no longer get, but in there every month, that was like my favorite part of the magazine was reading all the self-defense stories that they publish every single month.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty
And
cool.
I need to go ahead and say some of the quotes from
Send it.
the victims' families. I mean, it goes
From the
along
Atlanta
with-
incident.
Yeah, from this
Georgia.
just talked with the Georgia incident. Kind of goes along with what you have your discussion points today. So some of the people that were around there that said he didn't have to kill them. One shot to scare them was all you need. Right?
Until they're in the middle of it and it happens to them.
And then another guy came on and said, then another person said the guy was a super nice dude. He was a truck driver and he's hardly ever home, so they just picked the wrong door the wrong day. So natural selection, maybe.
Absolutely.
Mark Lloyd sounds like a cool dude.
Mark Lloyd is a cool dude.
He is.
Listening to Freebird, I like it.
That'll tie you up sometimes.
Mark, good to see you, buddy. Richie Futrell, good to see you.
You can try to pronounce that name.
Steel and Brass,
Something
we
wrong,
do
that's
need to
on
get
you.
a tactical Paramount Tactical Discord. I remember several months ago I looked into Discord. I don't know. It's one of those things, one of the other 1,000 projects that I didn't follow through on. So that's something we do need to look into. I think that would be a great thing. Jason, we got some gun-related legislation points. Jason is rummaging around in our warehouse. It looks like he's stolen some materials.
Oh, hey, I'm back.
We're gonna have to search your bag before you leave, Jason.
I think we're missing some suppressors over there. God only knows.
So big in the news. Anyone know what happened down in Florida? Huh? Anyone in the comments?
I do now.
They had a hurricane.
An alligator.
Python. Yeah, for sure. But the governor down there, I think it's, what's his name? D what?
DeSantis.
DeSantis?
D Wood.
D Wood? Yeah, of course, everyone knows the great Governor DeSantis. Probably going to run for president, I'm thinking. We'll see here. But just signed into, there you go, Jeff Hahn passed constitutional carry. So as of June 1st, or July 1st, now I forget. But one of them.
The J one.
One of the J's, yeah. They'll be able to constitutional carry down in Florida. So that's
Nice.
pretty kind of big in the news there. Big win for the Second Amendment.
Yeah, when West Virginia passed constitutional carry, I remember hearing all these things, that all these negative impacts that were going to take place by all these anti-gun folks. People were going to start killing themselves and killing each other and everything else. Gun crime has actually went down in West Virginia, at least the last time I looked at those stats. I think it was about a year, 12 months after they had originally passed that. That's just the way that it should be. The Constitution is our right to carry, plain and simple, even though some people disagree with that.
I
mean,
sometimes
or have-
disagree with it.
or
Right?
take
Only,
issue.
Sometimes
Only
Jay
not-
disagrees with the Constitution.
I only say, like you get a bunch of people out there, they just go out like old grandma buys a gun that doesn't know what she's doing with, and she's carrying it.
Go
you
to
know?
commercial.
Right, go to commercial. Right?
Somebody hit a button. Hit a button. Can you play music right now, Jim?
Well, I think there should be some sort of training involved for sure, right? But I'm all for constitutional carry though. Because,
Oh, clearly. Clearly.
What's the minimum hour of class?
Look,
Jay?
I
80?
support the Second
120?
Amendment, but
with this condition.
No, Jeff Ron, I'm with you. Definitely not a fan of open carry. You just make yourself a target. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, you know, again, I'm not a fan of open carry. I don't think it makes tactical sense. I am a fan of open carry in the sense that, well, I'll put it this way. I will refuse to criticize anyone that does open carry for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think that more people should see that people are carrying guns. I think we have kind of, again, we've turned guns into
This taboo.
this taboo thing that we should never see, kids should never see, and that's just not a reality. Number two, if that's what they want to do, it's their constitutional right. I disagree with about 90% of what 90% of people say. It's their right to say it, it's their right to do it. And, again, open carry, it gives me a tactical advantage because they're going to go after them first.
It kind of normalizes guns too to the
It does.
public.
It normalizes
you know?
guns, and I think that's a good thing. We could say that it is not good from a tactical standpoint. Then that could be an argument as to why do cops open carry? What is negative? What puts them at a negative or a tactical disadvantage? And it does.
Yeah, but they're in uniform though, right?
But
So
what
they're
is
high vis,
what is
high
that?
vis,
What is
right?
that
So it doesn't
difference?
matter.
Whether you're in uniform, what gives them the power that they have, and what puts fear in criminals is the fact that they're carrying a gun. So again, there's pros and cons to that. I'm not gonna I will not criticize anybody that wants to do that. If you want to do that, more power to you, and I'm all about it.
Yeah, me too, except for don't open carry, conceal carry.
I agree. I would not tell anyone or ever recommend that you should open carry. It definitely gives you're definitely in a much better standing for a lot of reasons if you conceal carry. All right. So today I want to talk about several different things that will probably take us down a twisty, windy path.
Kind of like last week.
Kind of like last week.
That was a good
When
one.
we're talking about wokeism in America, and I just want to go through and talk about some current event things that are taking place on there, and we will hit on some of those things, and also kind of in our own minds, it's kind of hard to define what wokeism or being woke is about. I think most of us have a good idea, but it's definitely hard to articulate or put our finger on. I think right now, what we're seeing as far as a lot of this wokeism and what we probably even would say is basically either this gender ideology and or I think going back 6 months, if I was asked to define wokeism, I would probably say something along the lines of CRT or things like that. But we can lump all those things in together.
I think also racism.
Racism, absolutely. So let's hit a couple of interesting things that have taken place lately. Right now, California is leading other blue states in the fight against West Virginia law banning biological males from girls' sports has made its way to the Supreme Court. If you guys weren't aware, West Virginia, I think it was in 2021, they passed. Let me see.
I thought it was just recently. I could be
No,
completely wrong.
No, you got 2021.
Yeah.
Second to last paragraph.
Gotcha.
It was in 2021. They had passed basically. It was West Virginia Save Women's Sports Act. The law bans male student athletes who identify and present themselves as female from playing on girls' sports teams, which I 100% support, by the way. So now we have California. ACLU is taking them to court over that.
That's been the craziest thing to me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how in the world can you have males competing in women's sport?
Well, Jay, if they're no good in the male sport,
And-
We found
Well,
something
Jason-
Jay's not
Jason-
liberal on.
Jason, there is no difference between males or females.
no,
Duh.
not anymore.
Duh.
That's
There's no advantage there at all.
Jay,
Well,
nothing.
while I'll
There's
say,
nothing different at all.
There's a lot of badass women out there that can beat a lot of guys at a lot of different things. However,
Like
when
me,
you,
but-
right. But when you take those elite, those elite athletes versus female athletes, I mean, there's no way they can hang. So it's
Those men with their
ridiculous.
testosterone. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
that's right.
Duh.
All the girls got to do is start juicing a little bit. So that's what we have going on right now. The ACLU is taking West Virginia to court, and somehow California and its attorney general is getting involved
I don't either.
What a waste of friggin' money.
I think California has its own problems right now.
Well, why does California get
Stay
to
away.
like you're your own state? Leave our state alone. Like, why does I don't understand how that works. I'm just being honest. Like, how can
You're right,
California?
Jeff Hahn.
How does California as a state interfere and sue another state?
That's why I'd go play.
Well,
female
here's what
sports.
happened. It said on Tuesday, California's Democratic Attorney General Rob Bonta, I believe how you say his name, led an amicus brief in the case BPJ versus West Virginia State Board of Education and called the West Virginia law an absurd legislative effort targeting transgender school children. Still quoting, preventing transgender elementary kids from living regular lives through legislative action is absurd and dangerous. He goes on to say that no child should be denied the opportunity to have a normal childhood or play school sports because of their gender. Whether it's in Florida, West Virginia, or anywhere else, my office is committed to safeguarding the rights of all of our nation's children, end quote. So, that's his stance on that. And
I get it. I'm just saying I don't understand the legal standing of
I don't know.
Another
know how that
state
works.
suing another
say
state
it.
for a law that's in the other state.
So why doesn't this go both ways? Last time I checked, a girl could play any man's sport that she wanted to.
You can actually women in wrestling.
Right. The women play football. I've seen kickers and stuff like that. I don't under.
Yeah.
It just seems like an absolute friggin' waste of money.
Yeah. So currently, as it stands, though, by the way, the district court earlier this year ruled in favor of West Virginia
That's
law,
what I'm thinking of.
saying that it was both constitutional and consistent with Title IX, which protects against sex-based discrimination. So that is what it is.
John Hahn brings up a point here. 500,000 people fled California last 2 years because
Wow.
of the wokeness.
But a lot of them take their wokeness with
I
them.
know, that's what I was just getting at, right?
They're like, oh, this is ridiculous in
This is
California, and then they want to go
ridiculous.
vote the
Let's go to
same way in
Texas.
another state.
Yeah, let's go to Texas. Oh, let's keep voting the same way and see how this works out.
I did see another headline. Summer and I were talking about this. I think it was earlier today or yesterday, where we'd seen where a school the state had ruled in favor of the school that was blocking parents from intervening.
In their
In their-
child's gender, something plan?
Yeah.
Gender
Transition
plan.
Yeah.
Like, why is the school a
Blocking
part
the
of?
parents?
Well, wait,
Yeah.
but why does the school have a child's gender transition plan? In the first, that's not the school's job.
Yeah. Another interesting event that I thought was pretty amazing was that during the CMT Awards,
Yes.
Here we go.
Kelsey Ballerini decided that was the perfect place to call for gun control whilst dancing with drag queens.
Whilst.
Know your audience.
Along those same lines, less than a week after biological male and trans woman Dylan
gonna bring this
Mulvaney
It's all over
generated
the news.
controversy from becoming a paid partner for Bud Light. She is now has a paid partnership with Nike that has her modeling
It's sports.
has him modeling its sports bras on social media.
Summer, how long have you been a woman for? Where's your Bud Light can?
Born.
Yeah. Where's your Bud Light can?
Hey,
Where's your
Bud Light
Nike
can?
deal?
I know,
He's only been
right?
one for a year.
I know, and he gets celebrated. What do I get?
Whole
I've
can and a
been
Nike
a
deal.
freaking woman for 42 years almost. Like, where's my celebration?
That's right.
You don't.
Gary's
Where's my
50 acts
celebration,
like a woman.
Gary?
You only get celebrated if you have decided to become a woman in the last 6 months.
That's right.
Then all of a sudden you're an amazing woman.
Right? Woman of the year.
Woman of the year.
Yep.
Even
Jenner
how
Woman of the Year,
insulting? Yeah, well, that's the part. Like,
Woman of the
how insulting is
Yeah.
it to women that have been women their whole lives, that have done amazing and wonderful and great things,
Hashtag
that
great.
this man comes in and gets Woman of the Year because the's no other woman that was good enough to do it. It took a man coming in to get Woman of
Well,
the Year.
it just proves that men are better than everything.
I know, right? Better at everything. Like, it's like the
Like-
beauty queen thing. All the transgender like men are winning the beauty queen
Like,
title.
all it takes is a man to be a
I
woman for
know.
like 3 months,
And you're
we got
better.
that shit licked.
You're better.
So
Licked.
Learning all the inside scoop now.
Licked?
He did say lick.
it might have been a slip of the tongue.
I
So
think that's what licking is.
A world with no limits.
Oh my God, my face is gonna be so
Future
red.
generations will thank us.
Oh man.
yeah.
I got that licked.
All right.
But can Summer answer what is a woman? Yeah, it's not what a lot
Kid
of these
Rock
are.
Put on some Shania Twain. We'll answer it.
Throw up the one up above that, Jason. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. Country music has lost their way. Skinny jeans, Starbucks, new country music. Bring back George Strait and Johnny
Now
Cash.
I like
back
some
the
Starbucks,
Wait,
Jeff.
listen,
Sorry, I do
yeah.
like
Mine-
Starbucks.
My jeans, I try to, make them look slimming.
Jay, yours are always just really long. They bunch up around your shoes.
Well, they don't make them that short. He has to buy like a kid's stocking.
It's called Husky.
Husky.
Kids
Whatever.
stocking.
Don't make fun of him. I had to wear it when I was a
They fit
kid.
Great.
Husky.
Husky.
Husky youth.
He needs the medium huskies. That's what we all wear.
Let's see. Commercial country music is just pop music.
Yep.
That's true. My ears have been violated.
Jason shops at the Baby Gap.
Only on Sundays.
Gap was Jason's style when we met him. Like for sure, that was
No,
like
that was
Gap was like the
He was more
epitome
like
of
an
your
Abercrombie.
style.
He more like
He worked in Abercrombie.
I know, but Abercrombie and
Model.
Abercrombie and Gap are kind of similar, but that was
No.
definitely your
Take your
style.
shirt off now, Jay. Let me see.
I don't know if that was. I don't know if Gap and
2005
Abercrombie's the
J,
same.
I'll wait till later.
2023 J are not the same.
Yeah.
You can always be a woman.
Steve, I know that Starbucks has a whole list of problems, but I do make good
But their
coffee.
coffee. Have you had one of their cake pops?
No.
Yeah. So
Man.
here's first of all,
Vince, don't
I
take
don't
your
even
shirt
know
off,
why those cake pops are like $8 or whatever they are. It's a,
Jason doesn't care how expensive
doesn't
they are. He's
matter.
like, "Doo-doo-doo-doo."
Take my money.
here's what I personally will say about Starbucks. I hate Starbucks, the culture, and everything else. But here's the thing, folks.
They make a
If
good
you
French
like,
roast.
if you like dark roast, Starbucks is like the only place that usually has a really good dark roast.
Yeah.
Everything else is pretty weak sauce. So I will give them that, even though they suck at everything else, including
Yeah.
their cake pops. You freaking weirdo. Yeah. So again, we definitely are in the middle of a culture war. There's no doubt about it. And I think our current elections say a lot about that and everything else that's going on with that. So, one of my biggest concerns as a parent is, how do you, and really this is one of those things that I currently haven't, there's times I come on here and I've talked about this before where I come on here and I have a pretty well defined thought or opinion on something. And then there's other times where I'm kind of throwing it out there in the ether and it's one of those things that's still formulated. And that's one of those things is like, what do you do? How do you talk to your kids? Because my fear is, or one of my concerns, and I'll say that in a very kind of flippant way, because at the end of the day, I'm always going to do and say what to my kid without any concern what anyone's going to say about that in the immediate or the future. But the reality is that we're losing the information war as well, right? And my concern is that, our kids are going to look back like probably some of the people from even the 60s where, they're like, oh, our parents were racist or did this or whatever else, or we're just closed-minded or we're crazy, whatever it is. Because again, we are losing the culture war. But the question is, how do you insulate your kids from all that stuff? And that's something I think we're even seeing now with our 13-year-old in school. And,
Yeah. The
I
stuff he's
constantly,
exposed to even last year in 6th grade, I was just mind blown.
100%. And, it's just a matter of what they, they're getting that drip every single day. And they are being told by schools, media, videos, everything, movies, hey, this is what the rest of the world think. And they're they're turning that into the reality, even though it's not. And I absolutely agree with you, Jeff. Homeschool, if at all possible. And I hope that we can get to a point to where we can do that personally. I think, especially looking at our kids going into junior high and high school, now that we have, a 13-year-old and,
9-year-old.
and a 9-year-old. So, it's something that, and I'm curious to what you guys think about this stuff. What's your thoughts on that,
I
Chris?
feel like almost it's gotten to the point where it's something that we deal with on a daily basis. Like we're hearing stuff that the kids say, or they hear stuff and then they have questions about it, or we're, even listening to the radio and this stuff comes up and then our 9-year-old was like, well, what is this? And it's like, in some regards, you don't even want to like have to explain it or expose them to that at such an early age. But then, you've made the case to me before. You're like, well, they're hearing it at school summer. We need to freaking go ahead and explain some of this stuff to them. And I just, sometimes I want to bury my head in the sand and just deal with it later
Yeah,
because
I remember when I was a kid, I was freaking hearing all sorts of stuff at school.
I didn't. See, that's the thing. Like I didn't. So
I grew up in the city though, so it was
well,
different.
yeah, there you go.
But the other thing too, though, Jay, I don't think from our generation we had teachers that were so militant in trying to indoctrinate kids
Yeah,
and getting them to think a certain way like we are now. Of course, you have kids that are talking
Yeah,
about
kids
things
talk.
and talking about things that are inappropriate for their age and
Oh,
all this
yeah.
other thing.
Absolutely.
But now you have teachers doing it, and that's the problem. When you have teachers explaining to kids at kindergarten and younger what homosexuality is, and informing their thoughts for them, and in spite of what their parents might say or anything else, and not just on that issue, on every issue.
Well, I think where it comes into being really relevant for the kids that we have, or kids our age, or any kid, is it makes them feel like, well, if I'm not this thing, if I'm not transgendered, if I'm not gay, if I'm not this, if I don't profess to be this, that, or the other, some woke term or this, then I'm automatically racist, I'm irrelevant, I'm not valuable. Like, a whole host of issues comes up for those kids.
I think Jamal makes a good point here. Homeschooling doesn't fix the problem, just avoids it for the people who can't afford to do it.
Sure.
I think that's a
Yeah.
valid point.
It is
right?
a valid
Like,
point.
Honestly, I'm not smart enough to homeschool.
So
I do not want to
here's
see what the outcome
I
is
don't
of that.
disagree with that, but here's what it allows you to do. I think homeschooling, it controls the environment for your kids.
Yeah, but sometimes-
Hold on,
okay.
but while they are look, you can get kids to do anything. You can get kids to think anything. And that's what the left has realized and played upon from K through college, right? So, and they know they have more time with your kids than you do. And that is the thing that is important, I think, with homeschooling, is you can establish and solidify certain principles and concepts with your children
Before they're exposed
in
to
their
some of
most
this
formative
stuff.
years.
Yeah.
So you're giving them a foundation right off the bat.
I think Jamal's point was kind of like, hey, it needs to be addressed in the
It
school
does.
system
Absolutely
and
does.
not just let's take the school kids out and leave the other kids that can't afford it to fend for themselves.
I don't
It
know.
needs to be
I'm all
addressed.
for them, I'm all for them making their own decision on some things. You know what I mean? Like letting them figure out, you have your way of thinking. They get exposed to different thoughts in public
Sure,
school,
but I don't think that that's the way that it's being done. I think the way that it's being done is this is the right way. And if you think differently, then you're
100%.
racist, you're sexist, you're racist, you're homophobic, you're this, you're that, or the other. If you don't think this one way, then you're all these bad things, and you're irrelevant, and you're not valuable. I think 100% that is what is happening.
If school kids, first of all, let's be real, like K through 8th or 9th grade, they shouldn't be teaching anything but arithmetic, reading, social studies, history. Like they shouldn't even be getting into politics until, again, 9th through 12th, and definitely not telling kids how to think. And that's the problem.
Well,
They're not teaching them. Teaching them how to think is one thing, but again, they're teaching them what to think and what is right and what is wrong, and they're being the arbiters of truth in general. And that's the real problem. Is they're not presenting options. They're presenting, hey, this is what's right and everything else is wrong.
Yeah.
And we saw that. Nothing was more obvious than that going through COVID. Nothing has been more obvious with everything else. Like you are wrong to think in most schools today that, hey, there are two biological genders. That is scientifically correct, but that is absolutely, number one, it's challenged, and not just challenged, it is saying they're creating their own facts when it comes to that.
Well, but you don't think that's like the point of the parents to talk to them and try to, have those
You
discussions
do,
with
but-
them so they can understand a different point of view than maybe what they're bringing out there or hearing in the public world.
Sure, but going back to Gary's point, they're being inundated with this like 8 hours a day at school among their peers that they're trying to win approval from.
And the problem is that the parents don't know what's going on
Yeah.
because this is the conversation I have with my kids every single day. Hey Jackson, how was school today? It was good. What'd you do?
Same. The
The use.
The use.
The use.
We got to
Like-
start waterboarding them.
We tried. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I try to do this.
When they were
sit-down
younger,
dinner.
I just shake them.
Yeah. But, going back to what you said, I think they should be presented information and make their own decisions. Well, we all know that the brain is not fully formed at making good decisions until well into your 20s. I mean, for you guys, you're still working on it. I mean,
Yeah,
come
was
on.
just gonna say,
Like,
my brain's not
you're
there
like,
yet.
just present them the information. And they're not being taught how to think for themselves. They're being taught, like Gary said, what to think. And I truly believe that.
They are being systematically indoctrinated. There's no systematically brainwashed.
To be honest with you, Gary and I have taken the stance like, fine, they're going to try to brainwash them one way at school. We're going to try to brainwash them and indoctrinate them into what we think is right on our side.
right.
And hopefully we went out and we can make them see the truth and the reason and then eventually when they are old enough to make their own decisions, they're like, oh, I think my parents were right, or oh, I think this was right, or hey, this is the way I feel about this. Well, fine. At
Well,
that point, make your own decision.
I mean, it goes back to even like, you can see people that come from New York that were clearly never taught the Constitution and how wishy-washy they are on these things. All joking aside,
He's
Jay.
talking about me, guys.
All joking aside, Jay, I am curious about that. So, like,
Yeah.
growing up, did they teach what the Second Amendment was in your anytime during your school period, and what it actually meant and why?
Absolutely not.
I guarantee you they don't teach that in schools now.
They don't. And I'm
The
not
Second
even.
Amendment didn't really exist because
They just skipped over it.
I just had a conversation with a bunch of people. They were talking about how when they were kids, they'd have rifles in their back of their car, or their truck, for
Mm-hmm.
hunting and all this stuff and everything. And I was like, sheesh. I was like, you could not have that in New York. That wasn't a thing. So it was just kind of like, our childhood, my childhood, and your childhood are two different scenarios.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And look at how that influenced the way you think about things now, that you're an adult.
Well,
Yeah,
that, if you mean that I don't think exactly
you just
like
throw out the
you.
Constitution anytime it's convenient.
Jason, you're like one of our children too. We're trying to indoctrinate you too.
Yeah, it's not working.
We'll get you there. We'll get you there.
Yeah. So Chris, how old's your son? He's what, 9?
Yeah, same as now.
Yeah. So
believe that's
how do you guys deal with that?
It's.
Or what have you had to
I
deal
want to
with?
be honest with you. It's weird. It's coming up. I hate this topic because it is. I mean, I agree 100% with what you all said. I was talking to a buddy at work today, and he didn't just have one. I think his baby girl's 6 months old now, and he's like, he says he loses sleep at night, scared to death of what he brought this beautiful baby in the world and what he's going to have to put her through just to get her an education, just to get her on into her adult life, and how different it was even from. I'm almost 40. How much it has changed in just from just say 30 years. So, I'm 39 years old, Remington's 9. Just 30 years how it's so freaking different, and I'm getting goosebumps talking about it because it just upset me so much on everything that's happening around us. And there's literally we live in one of the best states you could possibly live in for the way that the people watching this show and us have the views and the places in our heart and our minds and that stuff. But how do we even stop it?
But I'll bring up a point you made. West Virginia is like-minded in a lot of areas to us, but I don't believe the schools are.
No, and I've seen that.
Maybe like the elementary school, especially the one that our kids went to.
That was
It was
probably the best.
It was insulated. It was out here in the country.
I wish they could just stay there all the way through 12th
I
grade.
know,
It was
right?
like a one-room schoolhouse all the way through. But the best elementary school we could have ever.
I feel like and that's the thing, is the schools are the gatekeepers. They're the doorway. Even in the more conservative states, that's how they're going to move the state away from being conservative, is they're telling the kids this and this.
Then
while they're
another
at
thing,
school.
during the COVID, whatever, in 2020, luckily, I worked for a government agency that I was able to stay home and telework. So I had Remington there, and he was working literally, he was back over my shoulder doing his stuff. And me and another buddy talked. We were like, we should seriously open a homeschool place. That's reasonable, that we could still make our bills. and you would do classroom in the morning, and then in the afternoon, and it would be elementary age kids, do real world studies. Like you would go out and just like your stuff you do when you go, take them out camping, learn how to build a fire, learn how to build a shelter,
Change a tire.
change an oil, change a tire, balance a checkbook. I mean, the
That's what they
kids.
have shop class for.
They don't have a shop class
I don't
anymore.
think they
do
have
they?
it.
I don't think they.
They don't have home economics
just
anymore. I don't think.
just the
Yeah, I
little
learned
things
how to
like
sew
that.
a pillow
How
at home ec.
it would just they don't do anything anymore.
No.
They really don't. I mean, I even took home ec in middle school and learned how to sew. I can sew better. Sorry, Robin. I can sew better than Robin.
Yeah.
I
I sew too, yeah.
yeah, it's
I mean, very little.
Sorry, babe. I'll sew the pants. You can't sew.
Oh, Jesus.
No, he just knew that Jason was going to pipe and say, "I sew too."
I sew, yeah. I do.
I'll sew circles around Jason
We have a sewing competition next week, guys.
after I fix his dryer.
Jason
I
doesn't
can put on
sew.
a mean button.
Okay, let's just go
Put
ahead.
on a mean button.
Let's just do a quick fact check on this.
Where's that
Jason
button
doesn't
going?
show.
Nowhere.
Oh God!
You probably said don't want fish.
Like Gary said, it's going to be a twisty, windy road tonight, and it
It is.
obviously is. Yeah, but
yeah,
back to
it
like, how
scares
do
the
you
crap out
guys
of me.
address some of this stuff with your 9-year-old?
He does the same thing you all do. Your kids do. None. What'd you learn today? None. I said, well, why'd you go? You made me. I'm like, we haven't had anything really
That he brought up.
too strange brought up yet. But I mean, you all obviously have an older one that's gonna influence a little more and maybe say, hey,
And-
what
and
you
I'll
know
be-
about this and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know?
And I feel like I'm kind of maybe talking too much in this conversation, but
No, talk.
I'll be honest, like,
Never stopped you before.
Yeah, somebody's got to
Whatever.
talk over Gary, so.
Right.
some of like just personal experience with the 13-year-old where he's come home from school and said, well, this certain population of the school is able to do this and this because they're part of that group. I mean, where you got girls kissing girls, and nobody should be kissing anybody, but you got girls kissing girls and it's fine, and you got girls running around talking about all this stuff that they're allowed to talk about. But then my 13-year-old said, well, I believe this from the Bible, and was told by a teacher, we're not going to talk about that. Like that's his right to talk about his beliefs.
Yeah.
But all the other beliefs that are on the other side of the fence are allowed to be talked
Okay.
about daily,
About discussed, discussed openly.
openly, forced upon.
And unfortunately,
gonna need more bourbon, Jeff.
even the
I got
administrators,
tequila tonight.
administrators and teachers on the other side of that political spectrum are afraid to
Speak
up.
Yeah.
And we've seen that time and time again. We see how the left reacts. We see how they are willing to commit violence, and people can bring up January 6th if they want to, but to me, it's a really pointless attempt, because there's no comparison between what we've seen, what happens when the left doesn't get their way, and when the right doesn't get their way. It is a very, very different situation altogether. We saw where Washington, even long before January the 6th, was absolutely, they were trying to overrun the White House. They started a fire in St. John's Church. There was tons of Washington, the DC Metro Police or DC police that were
riots
actually,
were bad.
the Capitol
Yeah.
Police were actually injured
In protest.
in protest, and it was a much bigger and more severe protest overall when it comes down to damage and what they were attempting to do compared to January 6th. But most people have even forgot about that. So it is absolutely insane how aggressive the left is to push all this stuff on people, to the point where, just like we brought up, where we have the left having the state interfere with a child that is, saying apparently that they want to transition. Now the parents have no say in that. So it's a little crazy with all of that. Christian, thank you for that.
Chris donated.
Yep. Throw him up
I
there.
didn't know that.
There's a New York Times article from a columnist calling in country music to push for gun control in Tennessee. It's going to.
I'll be honest, Christian. I see a lot of. I'm actually surprised at and we were talking about this earlier today, how much a lot of the country stars, they want to be a part of Hollywood.
Yes.
And
That's
they
what
are
I'm passionate
they
about.
are
You have
becoming
to.
just as woke and just as liberal
Yeah.
as what I call the Holly weird. And that's
Ooh,
It's Illuminati.
you like that word, Jason?
I do like
I heard
that.
a
Holly weird.
Holly weird.
That's
Hollywood.
fancy. I
Yep.
like it.
So I don't know, Christian. You would think that it wouldn't happen, but there's a lot of powerful people that live there.
Let's go back up
Have a lot of
the
money.
line of chats there, Jason, and catch up on. Was there anything that we missed? Let's see. Keep going a
Richie
little
makes a
further.
good point.
That is a good point. I'm
Problem
gonna
is
come
the
back.
colleges.
The problem is the colleges.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's 100% the colleges. That's my biggest problem with colleges is that they
Tell me,
push
Jay.
all this free education. Oh, we want free education. We want free education. Well, why is your tuition so ridiculous, right? If they really believed in free education, the colleges themselves would become nonprofits, right? And start pushing free education, right? It doesn't have to be the government that pays for somebody's college. That kills
No,
us
they
all
still
the
want to
time.
get their big paycheck.
doesn't make
Oh,
sense,
exactly,
Jay. What are
right?
you talking
Yeah,
about?
exactly. They still want to get paid, right? Penn State football, baby. They want to get that money.
Yep.
Well, and I think that goes back to the fact that this has been a 30, 40, 50-year plan, right? And they intentionally, we have leftists, and I do think that we have influence from China and Russia going way back where they started implementing all the way back to the 60s and really even before then. But, there was a plan in place by people that ascribe to the leftist ideology. Hey, we need to get into academia, and they did a good job with that. Well, then they start infiltrating these colleges, pushing these ideologies, and it's one thing to do it in college, and I think that is part of where they identified. Look, we're getting all these people that are coming in here, and we're not having the effect that we would like to have effect on them because they have been brought up in a home, in a community, in schools where they didn't push this. So what do they need to do? They need to go from a bottom up approach, and they started shifting all that to, again, elementary school, kindergarten, going all the way up through grade school, where now for the majority of a kid's life, he is exposed or she is exposed to these talking points, to this ideology, to their version of what morals are. So, I think we need to realize that this is much more systematic and a planned approach than I think we are willing to give people credit for. So, go back up these comments a little bit, Jason. We still got a bunch more. Christian's going to evac me. I'm always good. I'm always good for a good evacuation.
You'd miss me in 2 seconds.
That's true.
He wouldn't have anyone to pour milk in a cereal. That's for sure.
Or work on his truck, whatever.
Steel and Brass, my eldest daughter left standard school and is now going to a STEM school learning machining and welding.
Oh,
That's
cool.
awesome, man.
Oh, wow.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I took welding in high school. It was pretty fun.
Yep. I can see
You can sew, I can weld.
There you go. Just watch for the gusts of wind.
And between the two of you guys, you can babysit Jason.
That's a lot of responsibility. I don't think they're ready.
We'll just leave that to Brianna.
Yeah.
Jamal Macadam says public colleges are nonprofit.
They are, but
Yeah,
I
they
went
are.
to, I'll be honest, Jamal, I went to a public college, and coming from a family that, was not able to help me with that, or, thank God I was able to get some scholarships because I did really well in school. But even though public colleges are nonprofit, it's still cost prohibitive for
Yeah,
the
still pretty
majority of
expensive.
people. It's still
Yeah.
very expensive. They charge a lot, and then they have these very fancy facilities. I mean, I remember the gym there that you could go work out at. It was like the state of the art facility for the state. I mean, it was massive. They called it the Space Center. It was so huge. I can only imagine the amount of money they spent on that.
Took up so much space.
It did. They called it Space Center. I don't know. I didn't name it that, Jason.
It was so big they called it space.
They thought it was like some big rocket center when they were building it because it was so big. But anyway, I mean, they spend so much money that is unnecessary on some of the facilities and amenities, and then it costs a lot.
A nonprofit, all they have to do is not show a profit.
Not
so
show a
they end
profit.
up dumping that money into a lot of needless things. It doesn't necessarily lower the cost of that school or that education.
Yep.
And then they need a bunch of academic research and other programs and things like that are antithetical to most people that are on this stream right now. They're listening to this. So, that is what it is. They also still get a ton of grant money and they get different federal funds and things like that. And for a school to
Hold on,
cost what they
Jason,
do
stay
is
there.
crazy, pretty crazy.
I'm interested in what I know we're kind of switching the topic here. What is AP's comment?
Let's see. Infiltrated you guys letting Russia join your military. I saw 3 Russian women join the Navy. Maps Phoenix. Do you think Russian can become an American? I don't think so.
Were they Russian? or
You know,
Ukrainian?
we actually know a couple of people from Russia that were in
Yeah,
the
a lot of
military,
friends.
and
Yeah.
they were,
Jay does a good Russian accent.
Yeah.
they were,
It's okay.
they became citizens and they fought for our country. and-
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying these aren't Russian spies, but I don't know. I
You
think it
talk to me
depends
like
on.
that anytime, Jay.
Well, the reality is there's also, you know, what I mean by Russia infiltrating. I think both personnel from that are basically communists, going back to the '60s and beyond, and people that are again have a strategic focus on pushing and at the time figuring out ways to overthrow America. That's what that originally comes from. I think we're still seeing that from China. So that's specifically what I'm talking about. I also think that there is a large portion of the Russian population, and even then probably the Chinese population, that disagrees completely with how their country operates. They're against communism.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you start getting into these former Soviet Union blocs like Belarus and many others, where now you're talking about people that are so anti-Russian and so pro-American that, you know, they're more American and are fighting for our ideals more than we are. So that's part of the reality too. Richie Futrell says Stanford University, hit that. Stanford University announced they have more faculty than students. Can't imagine why it costs so much.
I mean, once you're tenured, you're in. That's it.
Yeah.
You're just on the paycheck.
Yeah.
Justin brought up a good point too. He says, I don't think parents expose their kids to the world as a whole enough these days. I was shipped off to a third world country for months at a time as a kid. Seeing the world changes your perspective. I totally agree. It
Yeah.
even changes for me as an adult when I've gotten to travel out of the country. And
Summer never been on to Georgia until she met me.
I had been out of Georgia.
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
never
Across
flown on
the
a
state.
plane.
She
I
went
had
to
never
Florida
flown on a
once.
plane. I had never been across the country. Like,
She'd never seen any movie.
whatever. Don't even get me started.
And that's what you pick to go with. You're like, well, I guess
Yeah.
this is the best I can do.
Yeah.
She wasn't exposed to much. She
Yeah,
didn't know-
right.
I didn't have much competition.
First time I went out of the country, we had already had Noah.
Yeah.
Like we,
Well-
you know. But anyway, like the 2 times I've been out of the country, I've been to third world countries both times, and I come back very thankful.
Technically, Mexico is not a third.
Well-
It was to me, okay.
That's where Jay's from. Easy.
I mean, Cancun was pretty third world. No, I'm just saying.
Well, we got the Cancun folks, and we might as well have stepped on the moon.
Well-
with Summer. So she's like, "Oh my god."
Well, you didn't help us. Okay, let me tell you what. The first thing Gary said when we leave the airport in
Put
this
on
taxi
lotion.
that literally has to press the brake and keep his foot on the gas at the same time to keep the car going. We're all 4 stuffed in the back, no car seat,
So
no
the bomb doesn't
seatbelts,
go
no
off.
If
nothing.
you guys want to
But-
know what white privilege sounds like,
Well, but no, listen. But the first thing Gary tells me when we drive away from the airport and we're driving through the city to get to the resort was, "Oh, this looks like Iraq." And I'm like, "Oh,
look
great.
like
Can we
Iraq.
just
Where
turn
we were.
around and freaking go back to the airport and go home now?"
first of all, to be clear, there are places right now in Georgia where there are lots of people that are having to actually keep their foot on each
Hey,
side.
I've had to do it
Within
before.
a mile of here that are still doing that.
I've had to do it before. I'm just saying, when you're traveling out of the country with your 2 small children, you're like, "What the heck did I just do? And where am I at?"
We were good. We were good.
Luckily, you had
Okay.
Gary by your side.
Luckily, I had Gary.
Yeah, I was blending in.
I bet you were.
We were all blending in.
I had a
Can you imagine?
sombrero on, a poncho.
Practicing your good Spanish.
Yeah.
Hola.
Gary's fluent, don't you know?
All right.
Yeah.
Whoa. Hold that up there. We've
Whoa,
got
whoa,
a
what?
$50. Who was it that AP? Thank you very much for that $50
Where we go here?
donation
I don't
there,
know,
man.
down
You guys
somewhere.
are awesome.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Look, guys, you know, again, we don't expect
It'll
that.
show up
But we
once,
really
yeah.
do appreciate that. Thank you, guys. I know
It does help us make more videos like this, do things
Yeah.
like this, buy Gary a
us
camera
motivated.
so we can, you know.
take Mama out to eat every now and then.
that's nice.
Again, I know Christian last week threw a bunch of stuff up there and then donated a bunch of money.
And then our friend to the south.
Now Stephans also did as well. We really appreciate that, guys.
Yeah.
All right. We appreciate all the support that you guys send our way. Just showing up every week.
Hold on.
Going back.
I mean, we got a lot of good comments
I
here.
know.
Steel and Brass has a good
I like
one.
that one.
Yeah.
The problem,
Yes.
throw that up there. Problem with free tuition is it would be like free healthcare. You'd have so many people trying to get that you would never be able to get into a class because of
Well-
overcrowding.
Oh, yeah,
and on
that's for
top
sure.
of that, it
a good
cheapens
point.
That's what I was about to say.
Well, it cheapens education.
it cheapens education.
Yeah.
And on top of that, if everything's free and a state ran, I want you to think about when we have, educators that are paid at pretty much the same level as like military. Same goes to all folks. If you want to know what free and government ran healthcare is, all you gotta go do is talk to somebody that has to deal with the VA or the VA, the Veterans Affairs is their primary healthcare provider. Folks, it is atrocious. So
We have to wait months to get appointments. You have to do all the jump through hoops to get the care you need.
I get free health care there, and I still avoid, and it's like right down the road from me, by the way. It's a 20-minute drive. It's as close as any other doctor's office. And folks, to go there, it's nothing but aggravation. It is
and that's
absolute
one of the better
aggravation.
VAs we've heard
It's
of.
definitely one of the better VAs out there.
Yeah.
And
I
it's-
think one of the problems with education is you have to define what education is, right? Because like everyone's chasing the collegiate dream, right? Hey, I want to be business management. I want to be computer stuff. But there's so much more other education out there. Like you brought up welding, somebody else did.
Be an electrician, be a plumber, be an
electrician,
HVAC
right?
guy.
Like,
Be
yeah,
a-
there's so many trade
so
jobs
much
that
stuff
are
out there.
like so much education has to be poured into those things that people dismiss that stuff.
I mean,
They'll
even to
pay you to
become like
train.
a master electrician, I think it takes like 5 or 7
yeah.
years.
Oh, yeah, you gotta
It
go
takes
be
a
a
long
journeyman
time.
and all that.
Yeah.
You have to, and you're getting paid while you get your education.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally, you're getting paid an hourly wage every day to get to that spot.
And there's a shortage.
You could be those steam fitter guys. You could be in unions in the big cities for plumbers, the steam fitters, gas lines. I mean, even go work for the railroad.
Well-
Railroad makes a crap load of money.
While we're at it, have you guys heard of Mike Rowe's program? His work?
Oh,
I forget what it's called, but it's something work.
Yeah.
Basically, he has scholarships for trade jobs.
Right,
Pretty
Sure.
cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just going to be like when we were kids, right? You growing up, everyone's like, oh, you got to get a college education, got to get a college education, right? So everyone
Yes.
has to get a bachelor's degree. And that's kind of like, unless you took a different trade route, like me and Gary did with the military and everything like that, where you can get a specialized career.
But then you still got a college education, Jay.
But you got a different type of education. I did.
True.
Yeah, I did. I did get a college education too. But again, it's worthless, right? Because I don't use it, right? So, but
Hey, you
what I'm
cracked my
saying is
back.
that, like, with that though, now eventually it's going to be like, oh, then you have to get your master's degree. You have to get your master's degree, and eventually
just don't
everyone's going to have to be doctors, right? Because by the time, like, it's going to be so watered down, it'll be like a high school education will be your bachelor's degree.
Yeah, it devalues the degree.
It
If
devalues
everybody
the degree,
has
yeah.
it, it's just like the blue check mark on Twitter. If everybody freaking has it, it's not special
Hey, I
anymore.
paid for that.
I know. I'm sure you do. You're not special anymore. Everybody can buy it, Jason.
Oh, Muskie.
Alphabet soup official.
I agree completely with Christian on his last comment. If you scroll down,
Which
scroll
one?
down.
Scroll down.
Right there at 7:51 p.m. Yeah. So again, the VA, even the best among them is nothing but issues.
Well, let's
with that.
just be real. Anytime you give the government the chance to run anything, I mean, look at the Postal Service. I mean,
They're great.
Yeah.
they mess up everything.
If you
God
wanna-
bless my
if
local
you-
post lady.
if
That
you-
was
I was
just
gonna
amazing.
say,
If you
easy.
want to find the
Yeah.
least efficient, most expensive way to do something, have the government step in.
Right.
They're here to help.
Trade schools are better because once you finish school, you get plenty of job offers
Yep.
and sign a contract, and they cover the school after so long. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. That's
And
the
you get
best part.
experience the entire time. There's something to be said about that. Taking, the kids that are stuck in college for 4, 6, 8 years, the reality is they're being completely removed from the real world.
Yeah.
And when you have a trade school, my oldest son, he was going through electrician program, and the
He was working the whole
experience.
time.
He was working the whole time. He was getting paid. He was going to school. He was getting his certifications, and he was getting experience dealing with people, how the real world works. There's so many good life lessons that you get out of that too. And on top of that, now you actually have a real skill, a tangible skill that you can go out and make money with immediately.
And not to just not college, but like for me, I went to college. I got a 4-year degree, and I really didn't feel like I learned my field until I started working after college. I'm like, oh, okay, now this concept makes
Oh,
sense
yeah,
because the
100%.
application is where I learned
Yeah,
how
application's gonna trump everything.
every
right?
time. But I'm just saying.
Yep. Jeff said the proudest day of my life was when my son said he wanted to be a welder.
Welders make good
Yeah,
money.
absolutely. I'll tell you what, and there's a major shortage in welders too.
And I have a couple friends that are underwater welders. Man,
Oh,
Oh,
they
man.
make bank.
they go to some crazy places though.
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
can,
"Woo."
you can keep that.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm all
going
right.
800 feet down the bottom of
With
freaking.
240 volts. I mean, that's not bad.
They
Yeah,
gotta go
in the
off
water
that
with
hill.
electricity.
Yeah,
I've seen the movie The Deep and
Yeah.
all those other. No, you can keep
yeah,
that
I'm
stuff.
all right.
Yeah, MIG welding always like kind of weird. I like torch welding. Anyway,
20. Mark just brought up a great point. There's 28 people here, but only 6 thumbs up.
where are your thumbs, people?
Give us some
on.
likes, folks. Those help us out a lot. Hey, folks, you know what? The other thing too, whenever you get a chance, if you get bored, go through our videos and just hit like.
Yeah. 7 thumbs up on Rumble.
Rumble or Beatty,
Yeah.
guys. Come
Where's
on.
our lost
thumbs up
boys?
on Rumble.
Where's our lost boys?
They're all on here. They're talking.
They might be ladies too. Gary likes his coffee like his humor dark. Ha ha.
That's right.
Swaggy was a little late.
Jamal, that's 100%. College degrees are just a way to prove you can commit to something 4 years without fucking your life up. Yeah, that's 100%.
Well, some still do.
Yeah. I mean, well, for sure, right? But that's all it is. It really is. It's to show that you can be some sort of responsible at one point in your life.
Yep. Lloyd over on Rumble says so much fluff in a majority of degrees these days. Trade school can make you upwards of 6 figures if you work smart. Very true.
And A-Buck was obviously talking about you.
Of course. I'm great. Yeah. Thank you, Ava.
Yeah, you know, the fact of the matter is so many kids coming out of college with, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt and no real skills that anybody wants.
Nope.
Whereas, again, you can go through these different trade schools, pay almost hardly anything or work off your debt as you go, and then come out already making money and been making money the whole time. So, you know, it's a huge jump start for most people. And that's something that I think that I think it'd be smart for most parents to push their kids in that direction. I'm happy to encourage my kids to do whatever they would like to do, unless it's something stupid, and I'm gonna tell them they're an idiot.
Throw up steel and brass too, because he makes a good
I'm
point.
coming up to steel and brass.
Christian says he makes more as a
Christian,
truck driver than nurse, teacher,
Yeah.
4-year degree.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Absolutely.
being a truck driver. I'll tell you what, that's one job I would not want to
Yeah,
do.
my dad
you
was
know?
a truck driver for
Thanks
almost
for
20
bringing
years.
Jay's Amazon packages.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it's not Amazon.
So steel and
Hey, it could
brass.
be
I mean, that's what keeps America going, right? Is the truck
100%.
industry. Without the truck industry, America would literally shut down.
Yes.
Yep. Steel and Brass brings up a good point where he says he's a maintenance supervisor for a large aerospace company, and finding skilled trade workers gets harder every year because kids don't want to do real work. Well, it's not just kids. I mean, there's lots of 30,
There's a lot
40.
of adults.
Yeah, that
Look at
just
me.
they just don't want to work.
There's people job that don't want to work.
I know.
That's bad.
Like there's no pride in doing a good job anymore. Like,
That's for sure.
you know, Gary made fun of me the other night. I was pretty angry at the time, but I was out there working, you know, getting stuff done. And Gary's like,
Gary was just sleeping. wasn't
Gary
he?
yelled at me about something. I was like, well, I was just trying to get it done. He's like, yeah, you're just always trying to do so much, Summer. And I was like, yeah, it didn't go over well at the time. But, you know, there's stuff to be done. You freaking get it done. And that's the way life
What
goes.
happens when two redheads get into
I was going to say.
a nuclear explosion? Set the woods on fire.
Don't any of you people out there, none of you people out there better say, "Oh, I feel so sorry for Summer." Let me tell you something, okay?
We're listening.
Summer can more than hold her own.
Oh, I can.
She dishes it as much as she dishes it more than she takes.
Oh,
That's
no,
for
no, no.
sure. Yeah,
You give me a hard time every day.
I'm pretty much a saint.
Oh, yeah. Jason's going to fall off his chair back there.
Luckily, you don't have the squeaky chair. You just heard him almost fall back.
Oh my god. Well, have you met
Thank
you, sir?
You met you.
Oh,
I'm a
man.
kind, compassionate person.
Yeah.
John says I've encouraged my kids to go either a vocational school or get a job with an employer that will pay.
That's a good approach.
When you covered, I can't see it, Jason. Yeah.
Or get a job with an employer.
Dick.
Sorry, I was. You guys couldn't see what I was doing, but I was definitely messing with Gary.
Thank you, Jason.
He's a saint.
You know, even Jackson at age 12 is like, hey, mommy, do you think I should go to college? And I'm like, I don't know, son. I don't know yet. You got to figure out what you want to do. And if college is the right track to get to that career, then maybe college is the right choice for you. But it's not the only choice, and it may not be the right choice for you. And you can make a lot of money doing other things.
Do kids even know what they want to do? Like, I didn't know I still don't know what I want to do.
No, they don't, Jay.
Right?
Yeah. I think I
At
would.
least my kid does not.
No.
Yeah, no.
I
mean,
don't
that's
know
a-
at what
I
point.
still don't. So,
Yeah.
do you, Jay? I don't.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not 100% happy yet, so I'm still trying to find that path.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know when I thought I wanted to do something, but I've just been kind of.
Or if you've ever thought I
never
wanted
really
to do
thought
it.
They pay me to stay.
There,
Right.
there is nothing definitive in Jason's sentence or his life. I've never known when I wanted to
That's
do
for sure.
something.
Unless it's buying a car.
Yeah, I remember saying, yeah, that's true. I did want to buy that Jeep.
Yeah.
That happened.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
That was dumb.
We warned him.
That's Jay.
Yeah. Hey.
You know, we all gotta want stupid stuff and then get it every now and then.
Yeah.
Teaches us some good things in life.
Even,
Somebody just think big ass at you.
Even when I
burn
went
through.
special forces, right? I went to selection. It was only because I was like, oh, well, we're going to the field for a month, ITC. I was like, these guys are going to selection. I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll try it out. Right? Who'd have thunk?
Who'da thunk?
I was like, oh, that wasn't so bad. All right.
Here you
Let's
are.
keep going.
James' life story in a nutshell.
Scroll down real quick. Let's see. Hold on. I saw,
I
something
saw
funny.
Christian's comment. That
Hold
was
on.
funny.
Something in there.
Yelled at me.
I missed it.
Here, I'll come up.
I think you need to go back down.
Okay.
Oh no, I saw it. Go back up. Up.
Mark's.
Right there, Mark Lloyd. No.
Nope.
Racetracks. That's a good quote. A good comment. I quit school to hang out with alcoholics and chain smokers at racetracks. Learn my trade. It was quite
Oh,
fun.
that's what Gary doing right
Turned
now.
out well for Mark.
Steel. That's the one I was looking for. Steel
Yeah,
and brass, right
That's
there.
the one I was talking about too.
So I've watched all the videos, and the number one takeaway is I've gotten is just buy an Accutech. You're not wrong.
I mean, it is the best.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Buy an Accutech and an NPA.
I still have people call me and say, "Hey Gary, I've watched all your videos. What bipods do you recommend?"
Go watch the videos
Let's look at
again.
the shelf back here.
Yep.
Robin's getting,
I did, because people have been requesting them for a long time, and,
Don't put
and
that
they're
up
not bad. We are getting a bunch of the MDT SkyPods in, so those will be available if you want to get those.
I'm interested to see those in person. I haven't really checked them out, but
They are $700 set of
Jesus.
bipods.
they better be good.
Jamal says
They talk about that, yeah. And
the problem
that's
is like
exactly the
15
point I
years
was
ago,
making,
college
yeah.
was present as the only correct choice to have.
I
Like
agree.
Yeah,
100%.
that was the
Ye-
point that I was making before.
You were
right?
either college prep or you were not
Yeah,
college
that's
prep,
it.
and if you were not college prep, you were a
loser.
you were the dumb kid.
Yep.
Yeah. I was a dumb kid, and I remember my guidance
We know.
counselor.
No, I'm just
My guidance counselor. Jason,
Some things never
you're-
change.
Yeah, Jason, you're joining the army, right? And I said, yeah. They're like, oh, good. You don't need to go to college. you don't need this test. I was like, all right.
But it turned out well for you,
Cool.
Jason. I
Yeah, it
mean,
did turn out well.
you have a good life. You make a good living. You
Yeah.
have a good wife. I mean,
yeah, I
turned
mean,
out
she's
good.
okay.
oh my God,
Hey,
dude.
babe, I love you, but I know she's not watching, so.
Robin is.
Robin's going to text
Robin.
her. It's like,
Hi, Robin.
go to 1 hour and 2 minutes, 41 seconds and say, look what he said.
Jeff Hahn said SF guys tend to learn things the hard way.
Oh my god.
Or
Yeah,
I think
think.
people that tend to learn things the hard way, gravitate toward SF. I think there's something to that as well.
I
Definitely.
will say, hey, if you learn something the hard way, that stays with you. Like you're like, won't make that mistake again.
It's true.
Absolutely. Jeff Hahn says, "What tripod are you using?" Jeff,
Well,
we have
Jeff,
got
Jeff.
a
That was a pretty one.
pretty amazing.
Oh man.
Stay
No,
tuned
he's
over
gonna
the
wait.
next few
I
days.
can
Yeah.
already,
I'm not gonna
see him
even.
wanting to get
I'm not
out.
gonna even show you right now.
You sure about that?
But no, I
No,
am.
let's
I'm
wait.
100% sure about that. But we got some cool things coming up in the tripod segment.
You
I
did
will.
a giveaway of that one.
No, we cannot. Are you paying for it, Chris?
I don't know how
Giveaway
much-
sponsored
I
by
don't know.
Chris.
I don't know how much it costs yet. I don't know.
Chris is sponsoring.
If it's
the
over
giveaway.
$10, I can't afford it.
I'll still say that the Bog tripods are great tripod for the money. So those are definitely an option. But so we've had the Bog tripod for a long time, but there's lots of folks out there that want to step up. So I was looking at some of the premium tripods. just so you guys know.
Well, and they ended up contacting us, which was pretty cool.
Yep. And again, we were looking at a couple different options. We had a company that contacted us and did some research on them. Anyways, we got some test models, and folks, there are a few times I've been more impressed with a product and its features than I have been with that. But anyways, we got a video coming up on that.
Richie's got a question.
Jeff
too.
Hahn, you hush your mouth. You hush your dirty mouth, Jeff.
Jeff said he's in the market, so stay in the market, Jeff, till you see the video.
That is correct, Jeff. You were absolutely. I'll go ahead and let you know. But we got some videos coming up because there's several different models of those. We're gonna go through the features of all those, but they are pretty sick. Mike says, when is the Zico optics review? I was trying to get that done this week. That was my intentions. We had a bunch of appointments even today. I was out and about, which is a good thing, folks, because I was actually at a.
Oh, no,
I was
Mike.
actually. No, that's okay. It'll come back.
All right.
And we still got audio. We've had a lot of movement on the front with schools and things like that. I was actually at an appointment most of today, talking and meeting with some school administrators about that. So that it's been good when it comes to being busy with some of those things. So that's good.
Richie has a question. He said, when any other upcoming definitive reviews, are you gun shy after the Seekins?
Oh
You're
no,
no, Gary would never be gun shy.
not gun shy to see. We have a definitive review coming up on the Zico optics, zero compromise optics, without a doubt. I won't say that it'll be a definitive review on the tripods,
They're their own.
but yeah, I wouldn't want to say that. But what we will do is definitely do a full review on those and make sure that we go through all the features. So for all intents and purposes, it would be kind of a definitive review on that particular set of tripods. But I'll tell you, folks, I've already decided that I plan on carrying those. So again, stay tuned for that, and we'll see what happens. All right. That's the one I'm most considering.
No, he's
Yeah, I know
mentioning
which
two
one
vets.
he's talking about. Two vets. Two vets is a great tripod. There's no doubt about that. Again, stay tuned for that review. I'll give you some things to compare them to.
Sorry.
I did personally, Richie. I think Two Vets is definitely one of the great tripods out there. There's no doubt about that. What else we got? What else we got going on?
I think that about sums it up.
Yeah.
Anything over here?
Factor Man, he said he torched off the 300. Oh, you got to shoot it today.
Nice.
Was that the first time?
Well, he's torched off.
Is that what torched off mean?
I would assume.
I would
Okay.
assume.
I would assume. That's awesome, dude.
No, I got to shoot it before him, but that's pretty cool.
Yep. We do have folks, go check out what things that we have in stock, those types of items that we can't talk about on
Yeah,
YouTube.
we've already gotten rid of a couple.
We definitely just sent out a newsletter. Hey, folks, one thing, if you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, make sure you do. Paramount Tactical at Substack, something like that. But if you just do Substack, Paramount Tactical, you can search that, sign up for that newsletter. That allows us to send out deals on all those items that we can't talk about on here, as well as additional updates and things like that. Just recently, I talked a little bit about it. We were talking about social media suppression. Like over, I don't know, whenever the withdrawal there, or the retreat, the Biden administrative retreat in Afghanistan was, I had posted a comment and a picture of that I actually gotten from a news article of the Taliban inside the Afghan president. Well, they just hit me, Facebook just hit me with a strike on that.
I didn't realize that was from so long ago.
It was.
I thought it was something you just posted.
Nope, that was from many years ago. What, I think like 2 years ago now, or
Has
a
it
year and
been
a
2
half.
years?
I think it's been at least a year and a half. I think the 1 year
Jesus.
anniversary was not too long ago.
Awesome.
So anyways, that's what they hit me for. I still can't post any pictures or video, but I can post links and I can post comments. But until and I couldn't even do that until like, I think yesterday. So it's just one of those weird things. So anyways, my point being is if we ever get disconnected from social media, you can go to that Substack and we'll be able to communicate and things like that. I will look up doing a Discord. Somebody brought that up, and Willie, you said you'd look into that. If you want to check that out for us, that'd be awesome. And that is another option. I don't know how 2A friendly Discord is. I don't know that much about Discord.
Jamal
So,
says,
give us a
yeah.
thumbs up here.
Yeah.
You guys are
We
great.
appreciate it, Jamal.
Yep.
That's thanks to Summer, by the way.
Absolutely. It's on the way to you for sure. Steel and Brass says I was a combat engineer. We learned things the dumb way. For some reason, they thought it would be a good idea to make a game of human versus things that go boom.
That turned out well.
Yep. And always. Tennessee is looking to pass a bill to harden schools. Love to see that. There's no reason why we shouldn't have
Is that at the same
security
time as the gun
school
control?
infrastructure standards across the nation. Period. Yeah.
Daryl, we haven't seen you on here in a while, I feel like.
Yeah, Daryl. We haven't seen you on here a while. Been busy.
Yep.
Been out there snapping necks, cashing checks. That's what he does. All right, folks. Well, listen, we really appreciate you guys showing up here like always. Again, we always appreciate the support. Continue to do all your shopping at ParamountTactical.com. If you guys haven't yet this year, make sure you make a point to come train with us. Go to Paramount Tactical, check out all our upcoming training. We always appreciate, if you've done business with us, folks, one thing that actually is still would be a big help to us is go leave us a positive Google review. If we've earned it. If we've earned a positive Google review, we really appreciate that.
If not, contact me.
Yeah.
So we can figure out why it's not a positive review.
So that we can take care of you and turn it into a positive Google review. David Saunders says, I appreciate you guys. My personal issue is how the politics of our nation leads us to be labeled and to label each other. This
I
breeds
agree.
hate, and hate in any manner is wrong way to handle anything. I don't disagree with that at all.
Yep.
I will also say, I don't disagree with that, but I also am very aware of the current political climate. And I would love for us to talk about, one of the things that has come up is, now we have the GOP retaliating and using their committees to essentially drum up charges and retaliate against the DNC for what they're doing. And this was a topic that I heard about on the radio today where they were saying, hey, this concerns us. We shouldn't have either party doing that. Okay, I'm with you on that. And I wish that was the way things worked. But I do think that the only way that we're going to put a stop to them doing that is having some things in place to show them that basically as a deterrent, right? We need to come back together as a nation. We need to come back together and be able to be tolerant of our political, philosophical, religious differences and all those things. I just have a hard time seeing how that's even possible. Because here's what I know. If we were just completely tolerant of the left, the next thing that I genuinely believe this. If we were tolerant of the left and just went the kind, loving route of tolerating everything, I think most people that are conservatives, that are Christian, that just dissent against those on the left would end up in freaking gulags. I genuinely believe that. So, I hope that we can get to a point to where we can be tolerant of one another again. I just don't think that right now is that time, and we need to put some things into place that deter one another from taking these types of political actions and or weaponizing different systems that we have in our government against one another. So that's how I feel about that. All right, folks, we got any other final comments? I need the training right out of the box, 1 to 1.5 MOA out of the box. Can't wait to get back there in September. That's awesome, buddy. Factor Man talking about his rifle. All right, folks, listen, we're going to call it tonight, but again, we appreciate you. We appreciate all the support. Continue to buy from us. Come train with us. Have a wonderful night. Jason, where's our bumper music at? Throw in the bumper music. I don't hear any music. Oh, there it comes.
I'm gonna smash the
We gotta-
roadie into the desk over
Yeah,
there.
you went full, you know what on this.
Never gonna
All right,
fold,
folks,
you know what.
everyone have a wonderful week. Until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll talk to you soon.